Thank you to our sponsors, M&D Drilling out of Waller, Texas. Without their sponsorship, this podcast doesn't happen. Thank you to Kyle Golding for this spectacular podcast studio. Thank you, Martimus Lynch, for our awesome intro-outro song for Defining Moments podcast. Today's podcast was awesome. Spoke with Jordan Ryan from News 9, OKC Thunder Cheerleader. Are you still a cheerleader?
No, I'm retired, I guess.
She retired at a young age, but that's awesome anyways. Today's episode was about her life from leaving Arizona to landing in the Sooner Nation, why she loves Oklahoma State, Stillwater Nation, all the way to how great her dad was, and all the way to does pineapple belong on pizza. Stay tuned for this episode. You'll love it. I know we did.
I'm gonna stand, I won't be seated. Wanna hold my head up high and stay undefeated. Defining moments on this pod, 'cause I'm American by the grace of my good God.
I have a few gifts. My wife and I have a few gifts to give you. Okay?
Okay.
So, I can't give you the rice bag. That's sentimental stuff.
Oh my gosh.
But we like to give gifts on our podcast. And this gift, it's a coffee mug.
Wow.
And on the bottom is
cool.
a lifetime discount code to our website. So if you ever want to buy swag, you get that merchandise at a discounted rate for the rest of your life.
Wow, thank
Yeah,
you.
or your
That's
family.
so cool.
So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and we heard it's a boy.
Yes. You guys are so thoughtful.
So, let's do this.
A blue, yes.
There's
Oh
two.
my gosh, they're so cool.
One for
That's
you and one
awesome.
for him.
And these are the perfect size because you know about small coffee mugs.
Yeah.
That my coffee is like this much coffee and then the rest of it is all.
Sugar and
Yeah.
all that white foamy stuff.
Yes.
Are you a pumpkin spice girl?
No. Okay, so I used to be, and then ever since I've been pregnant, I don't like it as much.
Wow, okay.
I don't like pumpkin. It's one of those weird things where I used to be obsessed, and
Yeah.
now I have no interest.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I was.
So then next year you probably will be back.
Maybe I'll be back. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Pumpkin spice might be back before Texas.
Right.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
What about pineapple on pizza? What do you
Pineapple on pizza. What do I think about that? I am open to it.
think? Really?
Yep. And you know what's, I am like I've always been so like calorie conscious that I usually take my cheese off my pizza. My husband always makes fun of me. So I'll just eat the cheese and the vegetables or whatever, the meat.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm just kind of weird. Like, I'm just weird all around.
Ah, that's all good.
So,
yeah, we found you on Instagram, and it's been a couple 3 months, and it was really a heavy topic because it was about mental health and substance abuse.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to get into that. However, my wife and I have been really curious about being a Thunder Girl, transitioning from a Thunder Girl to news and journalism. So let's take a dive into what led you into being a Thunder Girl, and then go from there.
Okay, so I'll just kind of, without giving like my whole bio, I have always danced. And so that was always a part of me. I danced in college. I went to Grand Canyon University in Arizona my first 2 years. I was on that dance team. And then I ended up transferring because journalism was another huge passion. Arizona State is there. They have a great journalism program. And so it was like, okay, if you want to do journalism, you got to go to Arizona State. Well, I wasn't going to do college dance anymore. So I cheered for an arena football team there called the Arizona Rattlers.
Yep.
I did that while I finished up school. And then I wanted to move. I had a passion for journalism and then a passion for traveling. I wanted to get out of Arizona any way I could. And so I went to the most crazy place, and I went to Alabama, of all places.
That's crazy.
Yeah. the most exotic. That's the word I'm looking for. I ended up in Alabama because you start in a small market usually with your job, but it was actually a really cool spot because it was northern Alabama. I was near Nashville, Tennessee, and Atlanta and stuff. So I did journalism there, focused on my career for 2 years, but I would go and take classes in Atlanta before COVID, doing like Falcons prep classes for their team.
Wow.
And I still wanted to dance. So I virtually actually auditioned at one point for the Falcons. I made it to the second round, then got cut. That was like during the COVID area when things were crazy. But I still wanted to dance, and I really wanted to dance for an NFL team. Because I thought it would be more doable. So, because they only have 8 games is the only reason. Whereas for NBA, you have 41.
Yep.
So, I was going to go to an NFL town, but I was applying for jobs because I had to work too. And it worked out that I got an offer in Oklahoma City, and I wasn't very interested in it at all. I just was interviewing mainly for practice at that time with a lot of different companies and mainly with recruiters at that point. But I really liked News 9 and the company. It sounded amazing. And I just had in my head, I was like, well, maybe I could try to audition for the Thunder once I got there. It was just like my scheme in the background. But nobody thought it was possible because hardly anyone. I know of one other person who worked on television and danced for the NBA. No one else has really done that I know of, just because the schedule is so crazy. And at this time, I worked 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. when I moved here. Okay. So I moved to Oklahoma. I'm like, okay, I think I could maybe do this, maybe try. So I'm working 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then I'm going to audition for Thunder. I get permission from News 9. They gave me permission. And I audition for Thunder, and I make it so my schedule becomes, I work 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. I go home, I nap, and then I wake up at like 3 or 4. I go to practice or games, and then I get done at like 10. I nap, and then I wake up at like 1, 2 to start work again in the morning. So I slept in shifts for that time, and it was it's pretty like I look back and I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. I love the Thunder organization.
Yeah.
It just, I'm like, now that I get 8 hours of sleep usually at one time, I'm like, how did I get 2 or 3? So yeah.
So how long did you do that for?
So I did that for 2 seasons.
Years. Okay.
In my second season, it kind of transitioned, my schedule transitioned. So I started later in the morning, and that made it a little bit easier on me. So for one whole season, though, I did that every day.
So, wow. What's practice like for a Thunder girl?
We practice a lot. So it becomes your whole life. I don't think I had a day off the whole month of December between working at News 9 and dancing for Thunder, like all 31 days, because that's when you have a ton of games in December. And then March, you have a ton of games too. That ends up being another really busy time. Yeah. What was kind of different was my first year was COVID. So we had those challenges. It was when they had a season where I don't think they had any in-person games right before I came. I wasn't here, so this is me going off of memory. I think pretty much everything was virtual, and this was our season back. And so we wore masks the entire season. We wore N95 masks the entire season until like the last 2 games. And we had time in December where COVID popped up again. So we had to get tested before every game. So I would come to the arena. I would go to the Marriott next door, COVID test, walk in, or wait in my car. And like, I'll tell you, it was horrible. One time I had a whole bunch of family at a Christmas, one of the around Christmas games. And I test positive for COVID. So I don't get to perform. I have to go. So that, it was just so different at that time. I say that only to say things slowed down a little bit in December because we had this COVID pop up. So it wasn't as much. sorry, I'm going on a tangent. To answer your question, it's like 5-6 days a week that you're practicing. The practices are 3 hours. They're usually at 7 when people are off of work, and they go until like 9 or 10, just depending on what we have going on. And you're basically just learning routines constantly, because there's 41 games, and we switch between us now and O City is the hip hop team. So every other game, usually you're performing a dance. I just realized I really answered that question, and
that was awesome. I didn't realize there was two O City.
Yes, there's O City, and they are a co-ed hip hop team.
Okay.
And they are newer. They've been around for like 4 or 5 years now, and they add a really fun element because they do just like, they focus more on the hip hop, and we do more of the jazz. We'll do some hip hop, more of the fun poppy routines will be Thunder Girls.
Okay, so you do more the jazzy, and they do more the pop, lock, and drop it type?
Yes, yes, and they are so fun.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's fun to be around them because it's like we practice together at the same time, I should say. Yeah. So it's really fun.
So how's that relationship work between both teams and then the DJ? Because the DJ has got to play some kind of music and cues y'all.
Yes, so he just gets sent the music, and his job is to play it when we run out there. So as soon as the host, Malcolm or Emily, as soon as they say, hey, the Thunder Girls are coming out, then they play the music. Okay. And he does a great job.
Okay. Has there ever been a time where your team had to improv because the music wasn't right?
Not while I was there.
Okay.
I'm sure that it's happened before, but we have been so blessed. He's awesome.
Who's the DJ?
DJ MC1. I don't know his
I know his real name.
What?
I do know his real name. I'll tell you
off
the air. I can't tell you on air.
You can't tell me on air?
Yeah,
okay.
Because we aired this, and then he might be like, hey, Wong, I told you, that confidentiality.
I feel like I know it too, but I can't remember. So don't be mad at me if he sees it. But he is so nice, and he's a really cool guy too. So.
Yeah. No, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
Really mellow. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, yo, man, I vibe with you, bro. I vibe with you. That type?
Yes. Yep. I like it. Yeah. And he's native, and so he represents that community too. And I know he does a lot in the community. Yeah. So it's cool to see him.
So how many tryouts did you have before you finally learned that you made the squad?
The process is about a week long.
Wow.
And so you go and you'll have an initial audition where you'll maybe do across the floor, you'll learn a dance, and they'll make a cut. And then you'll come back the next day and you'll do interviews. You'll learn another dance usually. It kind of varies year to year. My first year, I think I learned like 3 or 4 dances during the audition process. The next year, I think we learned 2 dances. It's like hard. It blurs together. It's hard for me to remember. The second year, you're a lot more relaxed because you kind of know what's going on. The first year, everything is so stressful to you because you don't know. I was new to town too, so I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the process, or I didn't know about the Thunder organization. Whereas when you grow up in a town and you're in the dance world, you kind of know about the organizations a little better. So I was just happy to be there, and I was like, every time I made it past a round, I was like, thank you, Jesus. Don't know how that happened. Yeah. Here we are.
For sure.
And the Thunder gave me a lot of great opportunities as well. I did hosting for them when Malcolm was gone, so I would fill in emceeing, and then I did pregame stuff, recordings for them as well. So it was really cool because I was able to do a lot of different things. Yeah. They're a great organization.
And how did you get to News 9?
So I moved here to work at News 9, and I had never stepped foot in Oklahoma before I moved here. I just moved. And normally you will come out and kind of do a visit, but again, it was during COVID. Right. So I didn't want to come and have to work. I just felt like you couldn't communicate. I wouldn't be able to communicate. I'm such a facial expression communicator, so I wouldn't be able to do that with the masks on. And so I just went through virtually, and I was like, I'm just kind of like, worst case scenario, if I don't like it, then I'll move in a few years, because we work under contract. So you sign contracts for 2 to 3 years usually, and then you may move on to your next market, we call it. So to me, this was just a market.
Okay.
It wasn't I was just trying to get the best gig I could and then go somewhere else probably. But now I'm here to stay.
Now you're here. Yeah, to stay. Welcome to the Sooner Nation.
Hey. Yes.
Yeah. What do you like about your job?
Everything about it.
Okay.
It's meeting people and getting to have, just like, it's similar to what you do here. I mean, you meet people all the time and you're like, wow, that really opened my eyes to something that I didn't know about, or you get a new perspective. You get to learn about different hardships or different triumphs that people have. You get to see kind of all of it, good days, bad days. I love covering breaking news. I love going out after tornadoes and covering that, because communities come together always.
Yeah.
People are so nice. I mean, Oklahomans in general are just really nice. So it's cool to see just all of the good in the community, and just to learn from people. And I consider it such a gift to kind of intercept in their lives and get to have those moments with them. People always ask, like, do you want to anchor? Is that your goal, to anchor in the future? And maybe it would be, but I can't imagine not going out every day and interacting with people in some capacity. So it's really special.
That's awesome. What would you describe in 3 words Oklahoma's culture?
Oh, OU? No, I don't want to say that. I like OSU, actually.
Okay.
So I'm like the OSU girl at
Okay.
News 9. I will say I go to OSU, like I'm going tomorrow for Bedlam.
Yep.
And I just let, a lot of the people that work at News 9 are OU grads.
Yeah.
And so I let them handle it, because I'm like, that's fine. You guys that's your alma mater.
Yeah.
You can go there. But I have so much fun in Stillwater. I think the people are the nicest. And we just get down. We have fun.
Wait. So you're saying the Stillwater people are the nicest in Oklahoma?
I think so.
Is that, wow.
I will say that.
Huh.
They have
Kyle?
been so welcoming. Well, they welcomed me with open arms. And so that is my perspective. They are so kind.
Yeah. So what's your favorite phrase for OSU football?
For Go Pokes.
Go Pokes, huh? I would say pistols firing, because that's when they scored.
Yeah. Okay, that's true.
But Go Pokes would be, that's
That's
more
just
popular.
what I do all the time.
Yeah.
I go, Go Pokes. Horns down. Horns down. So my husband is like the biggest OU fan. Like
My
after
man.
the game last week, he was not in it. It was just emotional for everybody involved. So I am becoming more of an OU fan.
Okay.
Our son will definitely be an OU fan.
Yeah.
He has no choice.
Okay.
So-
He has no choice.
And
That's
my
awesome.
husband will not wear orange like he.
Oh, he's
very
like that.
against it. Yeah.
Gotcha. I have to meet him someday.
Yeah,
'Cause
he's
I'd
really cool.
Pick his
But-
brain about OU football. So, Stillwater's the nicest people that you say. What other 2 words would you use to describe Oklahomans in general?
Kind. And I would say, like, what's a word? Grounded would be as in, like, most people I feel like know who they are and what they stand for. Whereas I moved here from Arizona, and it's more of, it's such a melting pot in Arizona, and there's so much going on. And I just feel like I love Arizona so much. It's amazing. That's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. My view, this isn't for everybody. Obviously, take this with a grain of salt when I say it. There is culture in Arizona. There is culture. But I feel like there's less of a identity there because, like, when you go, for example, when you go to a Cardinals football game, that's the NFL team there. You're going to have half and half. Also, because the Cardinals aren't very good right now, but you're going to have half the arena being for the opposing team and half the arena being for the Cardinals. You're not going to fill a stadium with all Cardinals fans because people are from all over.
Gotcha.
So just when I compare the two in that way, I would just say when I see Oklahomans, they're passionate. They're like boomers, you know?
Yeah.
And I use football as an example because
Sure.
sports, I think in general, that's why I like sports. It can bring people together in a different way. It's a way of kind of identifying in some capacity.
Yeah.
Or having something to be passionate about and we can all root for together.
Sure. It's like the Thunder, right? You
Yes.
can use the Thunder. The Thunder is obviously Oklahomans. They stand by the Thunder.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's your favorite pro player?
My favorite pro Thunder player
Yeah.
or
Just
football?
NBA.
In the NBA. Well, I like Lou Dort because he actually graduated from Arizona State.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
How about NFL player?
NFL player, no, I don't have a favorite. I don't care that much. If I'm being honest. Soccer? Don't ask me about soccer. Sorry, I know you were a soccer coach.
No, it's
I'm
good.
sorry. No. I'm not going to know.
I was going to ask badminton, but I don't know any badminton players.
I don't know any badminton players. What's his name? Beckham? What is his name? The really famous soccer player.
Oh, David Beckham.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be like, see, that's where my knowledge is going to just
Wow.
end. Yeah.
That's interesting you brought that name up because I would figure it'd be Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo or something
Oh,
like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard those names, and
Yeah.
I know who Cristiano, how do you say it?
Cristiano.
See, I can't say it.
Yeah. Cristiano.
He,
Portuguese.
honestly, his face came to mind, but I could not remember his name.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So let's dive into why we reached out to you, that Instagram post, mental
Yes.
health and substance abuse. Let's talk about that. Can you dive into that?
Absolutely. So when it comes to like mental health and the overall picture, I feel like my perspective is a little different. For example, for me, I have never really struggled with severe anxiety or depression or anything like that where it's caused me to miss out on things or to not be able to go to work and stuff. But I know that is people's realities. And so I've always been like, I just keep going with stuff. And so I don't feel like I don't want to say I have a super soft perspective on it. I just kind of just go and do my thing. So I wouldn't consider, I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't consider myself a huge mental health advocate. I think
Sure.
it's so important to be aware of, and I love all of the advancements that we're making on it and the conversations that we're having. Where my passion with mental health really resides is in the correlation that it has with substance use and addiction and things like that. And so the post I made was actually about my dad. And my dad passed away a little over a year ago, August 17th of last year from an overdose, drug use. And it came as a complete shock. I did know, so that was something that has come up in the past for him. He had gone to rehab before, and when in his younger days we knew that was something that he had struggled with before. But when you saw him in his day-to-day now, he had no idea ever in his life that I even knew about any of that. Wow. Because why would you tell your daughter? Yeah. You know, I don't blame him for that at all. But he was a caring father. He showed up to work every day, you know, and he was 68 at the time, 64 or 68. Now I can't remember on the spot, but just provided for his family, went to church every Sunday, cared for us, was an amazing grandfather. We had no idea. Or when he passed, like I said, we had some kind of inclination, but you wouldn't have thought that. And so I just say all that to say the stigma around substance abuse, I want to get rid of it because I think it can impact everybody. And these drugs are so, like opioids and things like that, are so harsh. And I think something that my dad was dealing with was pain. I think he had this thing, it's called, I don't want to mess it up. It's called Pashers, I think is how you say it. But it's a joint, it's like a bone pain. And he didn't have access to opioids anymore because he had been to rehab. And so he turned to other things. And I don't know if I feel comfortable sharing exactly what he had used, but an illegal substance that he had used. And so I think in my mind that he went to that because he wasn't able to access any kind of prescription pill, but he needed something. I think he was in so much pain. And so I would just want all people to know that if that's something that you're dealing with in any capacity, and maybe drugs or alcohol use, that it's so common. It's so common, and there is nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't make you any less of a father, provider, husband, employee than you were before. And so I don't know how we make it more acceptable to have conversations about it, because I'm not going to come to you if I'm I get why. I don't know, I'm going in circles here because I get why. You don't just want to open up to everybody about stuff like that, but if we can make it more of a conversation and more affordable access to care also, because rehab and stuff like that can be very, very expensive. And I know there are opportunities for people, but I just would love for it to be more widely talked about, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm red-faced saying all that.
No, I agree with you. I do feel like it should be more of an open conversation without judgment.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
And how you do that is by, if you're opening up to me, all I have to really do is just listen to you.
Yeah.
I don't have to have an answer or solution, but I have to be an active listener and fully understand what you're trying to talk about.
And you can see how it makes me flustered, even still, because for so long it was something that we didn't talk about. I had to get permission to talk about it. So, it was when we found out, we didn't tell anybody in my family that was how he passed. And so it still is hard for me to explain and communicate because it hasn't been something that's just been widely accepted or at the forefront. Because the other thing is, when you think of someone, and my dad in particular was just, I miss my dad so much. Like, this has been like the hardest year of my life not having him. He's an amazing guy, and you don't want his legacy to be overshadowed by that. And I think that's like it's hard to articulate almost. It's complicated, I would say.
Based on the last 3 minutes that you just talked about your dad. No,
maybe it's been 10. I feel like it's been 10.
From what I'm understanding is he was a great man. He provided. He was a dad. He was a father. He was just doing what he was supposed to do to get the job done and provide for your family. Like you said, this substance stuff is just a situation
that's a good way to put it. Yes.
But what I remember is what you just said about your dad. He's a great guy and provided.
I love that language. Like, it was a situational thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
that's great.
We can always be open about these situational conversations. It's important to have and be honest about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So you're doing a great job of bringing it to life. I really feel
like I talked in circles about that. I'm so sorry. I should have better streamlined what I was trying to get at. But
that's the beauty of this, is just we're having a conversation about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of your defining moments you've been through life to get you to where you are today?
That would be one, for sure. Yeah. Just realizing that there's so much that you can't control. And eventually we're all going to go through something, or multiple somethings, and that's just part of growing up. But I think that when I look back, that has been huge for me. Also, finding out when me and my husband found out that we were pregnant, that was a huge moment for me. We were engaged at the time. We weren't married yet. And I was a control freak. And so I want this baby to know that it's so loved and we're so excited, but I also want to be transparent and say, like, that was not part of my plan. And so that was a huge moment for me, because everything I've done, and I was thinking about this as I was going to come in here, so much of my life has been very, very selfish when I look back on it, as in I was always chasing my next goal, so career-wise mostly. And I'm 27, that's pretty normal for my age, but it was always, I would finish one thing and I'd be like, okay, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And I remembered back when I was in college in FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, they talked about how you shouldn't have your identity in your sport, right? Because eventually that'll come to an end. And that stood out to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't want my identity to be in my sport, because that'll come to an end. That was dance for me, was my sport. And I was like, okay, well, instead of putting my identity, I feel like, fully in Christ, my identity just kind of became, well, that'll end, but I'll just do something else cool instead, or that's fulfilling to me, or worldly fulfilling. And so I just I've always been like, okay, I'm always working on some project. What am I going to work on? And then when I found out I was pregnant with Colt, I was like, that's my project. I got to be a mom, and he's got to be my number one priority. That's all going to shift and change for me. And the plans that I had, they are no more. I can still have my career. You can definitely have both. That's incredible. I think so many people do that. But he needs to be my main focus. So that all shifted, and that was hard for me to come to terms with at first, if I'm being completely honest. So, and I wanted to be a mom eventually, but I was not the girl that was like ready to be at the time, that was not how I was wired. I was so career oriented. That's all I cared about, was what I was working on. So that was a huge moment for me too.
That's incredible. We'll use a hashtag undefeated, and it's not like you're taking losses all the time, but it's the mindset of how do you keep going forward when plans change. And you've got goals and you're crushing your goals, and you went to FCA and Christ stood out to you, and then you're having this baby, and your number one priority is to be a mom. And how amazing is it for you to say? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Right?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're excited for you. It gives me chills.
Yes, but it took me, I just like to talk about it because it took me time to get there. And it took me months, honestly. And my poor husband was like, he was so excited from the get-go. And I was excited, but I was also like, well, I was going to do, and it sounds so silly probably if you hear me saying that, but that just was my reality. I was focused on, at that moment, I was focused on doing other things, and God has blessed me. I am so grateful, and I have had a healthy pregnancy, and everything has gone, our family has come together and helped us, and I just have learned so much through this process, and so much just about like how you can support other moms too, and that all is really exciting for me. But it just, like I said, it took me some time to kind of get there and realize. So
that's awesome. What you said there, if I go back about 12 minutes now, and we talked about how we're going to be transparent with your dad's situation, right? What you just said about being transparent with being a mom, and you were selfish and you had these selfish goals, and when you were pregnant, you were thinking, man, I still have goals. That's just being transparent. A lot of people think that, but you actually said it, and I think that's awesome, because a lot of people won't say it. They're like, I don't want to say it because people get mad at me. It's like, no. But that's a conversation.
It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
So I just, and the other thing is it opened my eyes to, and being more sensitive and realizing that some women deal with miscarriages too, and that's not a situation that I had, and being gentle and helping them and supporting them as they go through that journey, because I say that because I felt so guilty saying anything about not that I didn't want
sure
baby seat. Now see, there we go.
Yeah.
So, but just the the struggles that I went through is how I should say that. The struggles that I went through. I didn't want to talk. I wanted to be rose-colored glasses. I'm so excited. This is the best thing that ever happened. And not share any of it was hard for me at first. So there's all of these different perspectives, and that's what I'm saying. It's just you will go through something in your life. Everybody will go through these different trials and tribulations, and so how you deal with them, it's going to be different for everybody, but that's their reality. And so how can we support each other? Going back to the mental health, that's where I stand with mental health, is just how can we get through this and support each other. For me, my faith has been huge. Like especially with my dad, like I could not get through that without knowing that he was in a better place and that he was with Jesus and that there's more to look forward to. I cannot imagine if I would have been really, really probably depressed and probably not been able to go forward if I didn't know that in my heart. So, and that's also helped me with the pregnancy, just knowing that God has an amazing, beautiful plan, and this is where he's putting me at this time, and this journey is meant to be mine. It is what it is.
I love it. You got a solid foundation in faith. It's got to be.
Yeah.
You're right. It's got to be. Yeah. Do you have any mentors?
Well, I've been so blessed with the best coworkers, and Lacey Lowry, Robin Marsh, and Lacey Swope are women who are ahead of me, and they have helped me so much. And I was not expecting that, but in recent months, each of them are amazing, the most selfless women, and I look up to them for who they are in their careers, but also even more so who they are outside of their jobs. They are just the most caring people I think I have ever met. I'm just in awe of them all the time with just advice that they give me and just how I see them treat others. I was just thinking this specifically about Lacey. Well, it's all of them. But Lacey Lowry, I just have seen her interact with people, and she is the most selfless person. She's just so inquisitive but it's all of them, all three of those women. So those are three that I think of right now. I used to have mentors that I had in my career when I was younger in different phases of my life, but I think those three are just outstanding individuals that have really popped up lately for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice Lacey Lowry gave you?
She's given me so much advice. I think it wouldn't be anything that she said. It would just be the examples that she set. And that is just to be a good person all around, and that everybody matters. She gets tons of emails and messages and stuff, and she responds to everybody because that's something that I've had in my heart before this, but just it doesn't matter what you do, who you are, everybody is just as important as everybody, and you have got to remember that. And our careers are just different because you're getting more kind of reaction from people than maybe you would in a different job. Every job is normal. This is a normal job, but in a different career. So just you can there's that more opportunity to get a big head and kind of just be whatever. But she very much is not that way. I just see her be good all around.
Yeah.
So
that's another powerful description you just said, because it wasn't anything necessarily that they said, but it's what they do.
Yeah.
Actions.
Yes.
You got a lot of powerful solutions and statements in this podcast already. This is awesome.
Oh, okay. I think I've been awful. Yes, they really lead by example.
Yeah.
So.
What are a couple questions you wish people would ask you, but no one ever asked?
Oh, no, nothing. People are pretty good about asking me questions. I guess. Well, no, I can't think of anything. I don't know. I feel like you asked all the questions. As I'm going through this, I just also think it's so important to take the time to do more for others, and that is something that I feel like I've been kind of lacking on as we're sitting here, just like taking more time to volunteer and things like that. I just think that we get so in our own worlds, and we all have so much going on, and there's so many ways though that you can help other people just by giving your time. Like, for example, we're going into Christmas season. Everybody's going to be asking. Every nonprofit is going to be needing financial funding. We don't all have the money to do that, but if you can give time and energy, and that's something that I want to do better on as I'm sitting here. So.
I think that's awesome. I think time and energy, spent to nonprofits.
And it can also just be with people. Yeah. Your people.
Absolutely
too. You're
agree.
right. Just pouring into people.
Absolutely agree.
So.
Who would be 3 people you wish you could have coffee with and have a conversation?
Oh, okay. 3 people I wish. Man. I gotta think on this. Probably my pastor at my church. I go to Quail Springs Baptist.
Okay.
That would be one. Well, I wish I could have coffee with my dad. Yeah. Again, that would be the other.
Yeah.
And also my grandpa. So my grandpa lives up in South Dakota, and he was just, if you could hear his voice, he has the smoothest voice. Like, it is just adorable. I just want to record him every time I talk with him on the phone. It's just, like, nice. You know, just gives you the warm and fuzzies when you hear him. And I call him a lot, but I wish that I could make a trip up there to go see him sooner rather than later, because I love talking. He always makes me feel so good talking with him on the phone, but I'd love to spend time with him, and I know I need to, but it's just hard to get up there. So
yeah. When was the last time you challenged yourself with something that you've never done before?
This. I've never been interviewed on a podcast. This makes me really nervous.
Really?
I'm probably I don't even want to see my armpits. They have to be so sweaty right now because I'm just flustered.
Wow, you don't seem flustered.
Oh, okay.
And you don't appear flustered.
Oh, I am.
But I'm glad you're nervous, because I am usually the one always nervous. I ask Kyle this all the time. I do a nervous check. Hey, you nervous? You nervous? I'm nervous.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure this one didn't make you nervous, but I am. Yeah, my armpits are very sweaty. That's how I know.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah. I would say doing this, and then just with the... I'm going back to the pregnancy. I'm sure your wife can attest to this, or she will continue as she continues along, getting up and like being active and pushing yourself physically. That's always been really important to me, and being as healthy as possible. Oh, and that's, if I go back to the mental health, what I was trying to get at earlier that I don't think I said well at all was, I say I'm not soft on it because what I've told like younger students and stuff is, you are going to have bad days, and I don't know you personally. I don't know what you may go through, but you have got to find a way. You have to figure out what is going to help you. That is your responsibility. So I say that I'm not soft in a way that I think we can take responsibility and find those things that are going to help us when we have those situations. Because like for college students, I tell them, if you want to do this, if you want to be a reporter and you want to move to another state and be away from your family, you're going to have a bad day. It's inevitable, and you're still going to have to go to work. So you have got to figure out what you can do when that happens to make yourself feel better. And so for me, it's like I'm simple. So for me, if I work out, if I'm eating better, if I'm in a bad mood and I take a hot shower, things like that I know what helps me. But for someone else, it may be different. It may be needing to use a medication or something. Talking to someone, talking to a therapist is always incredible. I tell them, you've got to learn what it's going to be for you, or else you're going to struggle for a really long time. So the quicker you can figure that out, the better off you're going to be. So that's what I meant earlier, that I did a horrible job explaining. So.
All good. That's well done.
Thank you.
Way to think about that and come back with it.
Way better. Than saying I'm not soft. So sorry, everybody.
If you were to write a book about yourself, what would the title of that book be?
The title of my book. Hot Mess.
Hot Mess?
Probably. Figuring it out.
Okay.
But having fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. What are you most proud of?
I'm proud. I've done things that I'm very proud of. Oh gosh, I don't know. That's hard. What are you most proud of?
No, I'm proud of my parents. I'm proud of my parents that have raised me the way they did and pushed me the way they have done in their years of leadership. I always say leadership starts at home, and so I'm most proud of my parents and my wife.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm most proud of my husband. He
Boomer
works
sooner.
really hard. Yeah.
I love it.
He's a great guy, and he puts
That's so
up with
good.
me. So I'm really proud of him
That's
for that.
funny. That's awesome. So how do you want to be remembered?
Oh gosh, just as someone, like, I want, like, and as we continue and build our family, I just want it to be an open home, like, especially for my kids and their friends. Like, I want it to be the place where they know they can just come over anytime. There's no closed door policy. I want it to be where people feel safe and comfortable, and that we just have that family connection, and we do board games and stuff like that. You know, those, I want those memories for my kids. So
Yeah.
I guess now all I care about is how my kids remember me. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Very good. So your kid, when he gets older, he's going to be able to watch this podcast. He's like, man, I knew my mom was awesome.
Yeah, hopefully. She's a little crazy, but she's awesome. Yeah.
So for our listeners and our fans, how do they get in touch with you? Through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, social media?
Yes, I do all of the above. Not really Twitter. I don't really use Twitter or Facebook. I use Facebook sometimes. I check it every day. I go on Facebook Marketplace and I go shopping. But I would say Instagram, and I think my name is Jordan OKC is what I made it. And I think that's the same for TikTok. And those are the two that I use the most.
We'll drop those handles in our show notes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like I was the worst podcast interview, but
You think so?
yeah.
Nah, I don't think so. What do you think, Kyle? She's really good.
We've had worse.
This is bad, but we've seen worse.
No.
I like it.
No. Thank you so much for taking your time to come onto our show.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And
Thank
keep
you
doing what
for
you do in the
having me.
community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was an honor. So thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely. Keep us posted about the pregnancy, when he's born, and all that stuff. I'm sure we'll see it on Instagram.
Yes, I post everything on Instagram
Yeah.
pretty much, so you can know what I had for breakfast. So.
Hey, what did you have for breakfast today?
Well, today I had, Harkins popcorn. Harkins came to the station and brought us some popcorn.
Oh.
So
Harkins Theater here?
one of them, I don't know. So sometimes we'll have PR people that will come and bring us treats to the newsroom. That is one of the perks of it.
So how do Kyle and I get invites to these?
I know you have to
Breakfast.
be there because it's just, you never know.
Yeah.
So
maybe
I know.
maybe you can pull some strings.
I do have a big bag though. I'm willing to share. It's a mega bag. It would be like $40 at the theater, probably. Worth it.
I
You
do
know
like-
how expensive
Yeah.
popcorn is.
Yeah, it's a little overpriced
It's a little expensive,
to me, anyways.
but I do it every time,
Unfortunately, most of the time I do it too.
and I'm an extra butter person. So
All right. I mean, it's pretty stinking good.
yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Whoop,
Boomer
whoop.
Sooner. Go Pokes.
All the above.
Yeah. Let's go Thunder.
I'm gonna stand, I won't be seated. Gonna hold my head up high and stay undefeated. Defining moments on this part, 'cause I'm American by the grace of my good God. I'm American by the grace of my good God. I'm American by the grace of my good God.